the goose, the swan, and the trap. A queen lies alone by a riverbank. The sky shifts. A swan glides toward her, white feathers glowing in the afternoon light. It lands beside her, gentle, curious, until it isn't. The swan is Zeus, the woman is Leda, and the child from their encounter, Helen of Troy, the face that launched 1,000 ships. But this isn't a one-time myth. Zeus turned into animals, mist, golden rain, and even another woman, all to get close to mortals he fancied. He had so many affairs that even the ancient Greeks joked about it. The king of the gods had power, respect, lightning in his hand, so why couldn't he stay faithful? Why would the most feared being in mythology risk everything, over and over, just to sneak into someone's bed? The answer goes deeper than lust, and the reason behind it might not be what you expect. Power, paranoia, and prophecy. Zeus didn't start his reign from a throne, he started it hiding in a cave. His father Cronus swallowed all his children to prevent a prophecy that said one of them would overthrow him. Zeus escaped that fate, grew up in secret, then returned to do exactly what the prophecy foretold. He made his father throw up his siblings and took the throne by force. But once Zeus won, he became paranoid too. He'd seen what power did to a family. His own destiny came with a warning. One of his wives would bear a child more powerful than him. So Zeus made a habit of avoiding fate by doing something bizarre. He swallowed the mother. That's how Athena was born, straight from his skull. Every affair, every child, every manipulation was a way to manage threats. If you had power in Olympus, you had enemies. And for Zeus, control wasn't just about ruling with a thunderbolt, it meant shaping bloodlines, choosing who would be strong, and preventing the next revolution before it ever started. But controlling fate didn't mean controlling yourself. And soon, Zeus's choices stopped looking strategic and started looking desperate. So what happens when the king of the gods starts using seduction as a tool for survival? That's when myth turns into political theater. Affairs as divine diplomacy. Zeus didn't just chase after women randomly. In many stories, his affairs seem strangely calculated. He targeted noble houses, powerful priestesses, queens on the verge of war. Often the children from these unions went on to become legendary heroes, demigods, or founders of great cities. In myth, Zeus seduces Alcmene, and out comes Hercules. He seduces Danae, and Perseus is born. Even the Trojan War, the most famous epic in Greek literature, begins with Helen born from his encounter with Leda. These weren't just conquests, they were investments. In a world where gods meddled with mortals to shape destiny, Zeus's relationships looked more like arranged alliances than casual flings. Every child born from these unions added another branch to the divine family tree, strengthening his influence across the human world. You weren't just sleeping with a god, you were becoming part of his empire. But even gods have limits, and if Zeus was the architect of divine power, his wife Hera was the demolition crew waiting to strike. Hera, the ultimate power couple or cosmic mess. Zeus and Hera's marriage wasn't a love story. It was a test of endurance. Hera was his sister, yes, but more importantly, she was his equal in cunning, status, and rage. The myths paint her as jealous and vengeful, and she was, but rarely without reason. While Zeus turned into bulls and birds to chase women, Hera turned into storms and curses to punish everyone involved. But Hera didn't go after Zeus directly. Instead, she punished his lovers. She tortured Io with endless wandering. She turned Callisto into a bear. She harassed Hercules from cradle to grave. Her fury became the second half of every affair, and that's what makes their relationship so strange. Zeus, with all his power, couldn't or wouldn't stop her. Maybe he felt guilty. Maybe he respected her wrath. Or maybe, just maybe, the chaos they created was part of a bigger pattern, an endless push and pull between order and wild desire, a reflection of nature itself. Their marriage didn't stop him, neither did shame. And soon, Zeus's offspring weren't just shaping myth, they were shaping identity itself. The offspring empire. Almost every major Greek hero has Zeus's fingerprints on their family tree. The gods weren't distant, they were tangled in the drama of mortals. By creating demigods, Zeus was building a legacy of semi-divine bloodlines, stronger, braver, more important. These children became the foundations of entire myth cycles. Hercules, perhaps the most famous, was known not just for strength but for suffering. Perseus slayed monsters and saved princesses. Helen's beauty started a war. Even Minos, the future king of Crete, came from one of Zeus's more obscure unions. To the Greeks, these characters weren't just fiction. They were part of how cities explained their origins. A city-state could claim divine descent, and with it, divine right to rule. In that light, Zeus's affairs weren't private shame, they were public propaganda. His wandering eye was writing the map of the ancient world. But if myth was used to justify rule, why build it on a figure so chaotic, unpredictable, and morally confusing? To answer that, we need to flip the lens and ask not what Zeus wanted but what people wanted from Zeus. What it says about us. The Greeks didn't expect their gods to be perfect. They expected them to be powerful, and power in their world didn't mean kindness. It meant control, charisma, cunning, sometimes cruelty. Zeus wasn't adored because he was good, he was feared because he was unchallengeable. His stories reflected human instincts turned up to divine volume. Lust, ambition, jealousy, insecurity all wrapped in thunderclouds. That's why he stayed fascinating for centuries. He wasn't a moral compass, he was a mirror. The same society that worshipped him also questioned him. Playwrights mocked his behavior on stage. Philosophers tried to rationalize it. Artists painted him with equal parts majesty and menace. Zeus wasn't just the king of gods, he was the main character in humanity's attempt to understand its own flaws. And that brings us back to the original question: why did Zeus have so many affairs? Zeus, the mirror. He was a ruler haunted by prophecy, a strategist trying to cheat fate, a political tactician turning seduction into power, a husband in a doomed rivalry, and a god made in the image of human weakness. Zeus's affairs weren't just about pleasure. They were about legacy, control, and survival. The stories aren't excuses, they're explanations, for a world where the lines between love, power, and fear were always blurred. And maybe that's why the myths never stop. Because deep down, the reason Zeus couldn't stop chasing something new is the same reason we still chase stories about him.